What most people don't realize is that cavities were a death sentence for early humans. Imagine waking up in a world without dentists. No brushes, no floss, no painkillers. Your teeth are your only tools. And they are rotting. For prehistoric humans, dental decay wasn't an inconvenience. It was a slow, agonizing execution. You could hunt a mammoth. You could outrun a predator. But you could not outrun an abscess. The mouth is a gateway to the body. But consider what happens when that gate fails. A cavity tears through enamel into soft tissue. Infection blooms. Now imagine it spreading, a slow, silent invasion. It spreads to the jaw, then the bloodstream. Sepsis follows. Organs fail. The clock starts ticking. It took weeks, sometimes days. Here is the brutal truth. Archaeologists find evidence of this everywhere. On fossilized jaws, they see healed wounds. Picture the pain behind that bone. They see bone remodeling around infection sites. That means people suffered. Worse, they suffered for years, not moments. You might think early diets were healthy. No sugar, no processed food. Yet the jaws tell another story. But stone-ground flour was gritty. Sand and rock dust wore teeth down to the pulp exposed, the pulp infected. In some regions, almost every adult skull shows dental disease. Tooth loss was common by 30. By 40, many were toothless entirely. And toothless meant helpless. Chewing becomes impossible. Survival depends on others. But even then, the infection rages on. So picture the apex predator, fearsome hunter, master of fire. And yet, crippled by a tiny hole in his gum. He can't eat. He can't sleep. He shivers in the dark, waiting for the poison to reach his brain. It is a quiet death, slow and undignified. A death that did not discriminate between the strong and the weak. But how did something as small as a toothache kill an apex predator? You chew on one side now. The other side pulses with a dull, relentless ache. You tell yourself it is nothing. But the cavity has already breached the enamel. It has reached the dentin. The living tissue beneath is screaming. Your body sends its first wave of defenders. White blood cells flood the area. The pressure builds. The tooth dies. But your body does not stop fighting. It cannot. The infection has found a new path, down through the root, into the jawbone. Now imagine that. This is the moment everything changes. You feel it swell. Your face distorts. The pain stops being local. It becomes your whole head, your neck, your ear. The abscess grows like a balloon under your skin, filled with pus and necrotic tissue. If it ruptures internally, the bacteria enter your bloodstream. And then? Sepsis is not a disease. It is a cascade. Your immune system, in its desperation, begins attacking your own organs. Blood pressure crashes. Organs fail one by one. A 2021 study of ancient skeletal remains found periapical abscesses. Over 30% of examined prehistoric skulls had them. That means nearly 1 in 3 of our ancestors died with this exact war. It was raging inside their jaw. Think about that number. The timeline is cruel. You were fine at sunrise. By nightfall, you cannot open your mouth. By the 3rd day, your fever hallucinates. You are a hunter, a gatherer, a mother, a child. None of that matters now. The poison does not care. Doth it ever? You lie down, the fire crackles. Someone hold your hand. They watch your chest rise, then stop. They bury you with your swollen jaw still intact. They do not know why you died. They only know you were healthy yesterday. They only know the tooth was the beginning. But that's not the end. Yet some survive by sacrificing what we now consider essential to civilization. You find a sharpened flint. You press it against your own gum. There is no numb. There is no sedation. There is only the ache and the cut. But you do it anyway. Some reached into their own mouths with bone tools. They scraped the rot away. Bits of tooth flew out. Blood filled their throats. They did this to themselves on purpose. Imagine the rethought it takes. Others did it for them, a healer, a relative, someone willing to hold your head still. Think of the trust. One wrong slip, and the tool punched into the jaw. And the jaw was already weak, already under siege. That was the trap. The infection was there. It already had roots. Their tools just gave it a faster road. But think of the pain that follows. No escape. You feel the scrape on the nerve. Your whole face ignites. Your vision goes white. The pain has no rhythm. It just keeps coming. Now imagine it never stops. Now hold still. Some teeth were pulled out entirely. Prehistoric pliers made of bone. They gripped the crown and yanked. Often the tooth shattered. A root left behind. A root that killed you anyway. Worse than the pain, the real shame? They thought they were helping. But they were part of the problem. Ritual healing often made things worse. Charms dipped in dirt. Spit-covered herbs packed into open wounds. They introduced new microbes into mouths already reeling. Imagine the damage. They fed the fire more fuel. Yet the logic held its own strange grip. In some cultures, the extraction was a rite of passage. A tooth removed on purpose. With nothing but sharp stone. The survivors wore their missing teeth as status. Picture the pain. The others just wore their missing teeth into the grave. Now consider the timeline. This went on for thousands of years, generation after generation, the same cycle. The pain, the scrape, the risk. Was anyone even learning? And then, almost by accident, the numbers started to shift. Not because the tools got better, they stayed crude. Not because they understood the enemy. They never saw bacteria. Worse, they never saw anything at all. So, what actually changed? What changed was the mouth itself. The teeth became stronger. The enemy lost its foothold. Their crude intervention saved a few. Here's the thing, that was pure luck. But the real turning point came when they changed their diet. And with it, their biology. Picture yourself in a field of wild wheat. It's taller than you. It tastes bitter. You chew it anyway. Something shifts inside you. You keep the seeds. You plant them. That decision rewired the human mouth forever. Think about that for a second. For 2.5 million years, our ancestors ate meat, roots, and nuts. Their teeth were broad. Their jaws were strong. Cavities existed, but rarely. The oral microbiome was a staple ecosystem. Then came agriculture, roughly 10,000 years ago. Grains became the daily staple. Cooking made them softer. Soft food does not scrub teeth clean, but wait. Here is the catch. Those new carbohydrates were sugar in disguise. Starches break down into simple sugars as you chew. Bacteria feast on them, acid pours out, enamel dissolves. The cavity rate exploded. After a slow burn turning to wildfire. Hunter-gatherers had around 1 to 3% cavities. Early farmers hit 30 to 50%. That is not a slow drift. That is a collapse. The mouth became a battlefield overnight. Imagine waking up to that every day. The biology could not keep up. Evolution is slow. Agriculture was fast. 10,000 years is nothing in genetic time. Your teeth are still hunter-gatherer hardware running farmer software. They were built for tough fiber, not mushy porridge. Now consider the microbes. And the bacteria noticed. As diets changed, microbial species that thrived on sugar multiplied. Streptococcus mutans, an acid-loving bacterium, moved in. It had been a minor player. It became the dominant force. It spreads easily, parent to child, kiss to kiss. That organism is in your mouth right now. It wants your sugar. It will eat it no matter what. Here's the thing. Here is what makes it strange. Your ancestors never brushed. They never flossed. Their mouths healed differently. Some populations adapted with denser enamel. Others developed resistance to infection. But every adaptation carried a cost. Adapting, our ancestors unknowingly unleashed a new biological arms race. That race continues in your mouth today. Free ache you feel is that war. Every filling, a peace treaty. But here's the slip. Enamel is the only tissue that cannot self-repair. Once gone, it stays gone. The immune system attacks the decay, but it also inflames the gums. That inflammation recedes bone, teeth loosen. The jaw thins over generations because chewing less demands less bone. Crowding follows. Wisdom teeth have no room. They impact, they infect, they ache. Imagine the skull itself changed shape. Look at any museum, compare the jaws. The story is written in the bone. You grind seed between stones. Grit wears into your enamel. But someone notices something, a thin stick, a sharpened bone. It works between the teeth, prehistoric toothpicks. The first dental tool was simple. It was born from irritation, not science. But irritation is a stubborn teacher. That same irritation drove the next leap. The ancient Egyptians used a stick called a miswak. Its fibers split into natural bristles. It cleaned, it freshened, it fought decay. Imagine chewing on that before breakfast. Babylonians, meanwhile, carved toothpicks from gold. They turned a necessity into a status symbol. Now that's a flex. Then came the shock. The Indus Valley civilization drilled into living teeth. Yes, living. This was 9,000 years ago. 9 millennia before modern dentistry. They used tiny flint drill bits. Imagine the patience. They spun them by hand. They created perfect holes. It was dentist's work without a dentist's name. How? They did it to remove decay. They did it to survive. No anesthetic, no second chances. Here's the thing. But imagine the hand that held those bits. By 500 BCE, the Etruscans crafted gold dental bridges. They replaced lost teeth. They restored function. Pain and loss produced the drive to invent. Here's the thing. Pain never leaves the workshop. And here you are, holding a toothbrush, nylon bristles, plastic handles. You think this is normal. It is not. It is the endpoint of centuries of suffering. You brush twice a day. You floss. You visit a dentist. You forget the human who first understood the drill. Do you even see them anymore? But as we conquered cavities, a deeper realization began to emerge. It questions whether our teeth were ever meant to last. Think about the first creatures who ever had teeth. They used them to tear, to grind, to survive. That design has not changed in over 400 million years. You still carry that blueprint in your mouth, but your life is nothing like theirs. You eat soft food. You live decades longer. Your teeth were built for a short, brutal existence, not for a long one. That mismatch is the quiet tragedy of your smile. Every tooth is a fossil of an older world. Enamel is the hardest substance your body makes. Yet it cannot heal itself. A scratch stays a scratch. A crack stays a crack. Your bones mend. Your teeth do not. They were never supposed to. Now, ask yourself why. We outgrew our biology. We invented agriculture, then processed sugar, then modern medicine. Our mouths stayed ancient. Cavities became a modern plague because we feed our prehistoric teeth a future diet. The mismatch is staggering. The real insight is humbling. Your teeth are not a design flaw. They are a witness. They remember a life of 30 years and raw meat. You ask them to last 80 years on coffee and candy. Imagine that timeline. They were never meant to last. You are a survivor of your own anatomy.